I actually moved her to her own place, and I was sleeping
on the pilots.
in the UCLA locker room. Yeah, in our locker room. We had a new locker room, man. I still believe we got the best facility in college football.
Yeah.
LA is where it's at. We're in Westwood, top tier program, top tier building, top tier, team in the making.
Today's guest is someone whose journey goes far beyond football. He is a man shaped by discipline, adversity, sacrifice, and perspective. An NFL vet, cornerback, USC LA graduate, and the son of a former player. But more importantly, a living example of resilience, emotional intelligence, and generational cycle breaking. Growing up, he experienced both the privileges and the harsh realities of professional sports. He witnessed firsthand how fast money can come and go, how quickly life can change, and how survival sometimes demands maturity far beyond your years. Those experiences forged a mindset built on responsibility, accountability, and relentless discipline. At UCLA, he didn't just dominate on the field. He graduated in just 3 years, becoming a team leader and one of the most respected defensive backs in the Pac-12. During that time, he sacrificed his own comfort so his family could survive, sleeping on pallets at training facilities so his mother could have a bed. And yet he still performed at an elite level. Drafted into the NFL, he carved out his place through grit, preparation, and mental toughness, earning respect as one of the league's most reliable slot defenders. But what truly separates him is not his speed, his coverage, or his highlight plays. It's his perspective. It's his focus on mental strength, financial intelligence, long-term stability, and legacy thinking reflects a man preparing not just for a career, but for life. He represents a new generation of athletes, grounded, intentional, emotionally aware, and deeply committed to growing beyond the game. Today, we're not just talking football. We're diving into the mindset, sacrifice, identity, legacy, and what it truly means to become the man your younger self needed. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome, Darnay Holmes.
Man, appreciate that introduction.
Thank you, brother.
Yes,
thank you. So first of all, I'm Raider Nation for life.
That's love.
Yeah. When my son was born, the first thing I put on him was the Raiders jersey. And it's awesome to finally sit down with one of the players and make this happen, man.
Congrats on fatherhood, man.
Thank you, bro. You have any kids?
I got a baby girl. That's
baby girl.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll just dive into that. How does that change things for you as a father, as an athlete, now that you have?
Yeah, I feel like when you have a girl, you become more yielding and more soft.
Gotcha.
And your perspective shifts on the aspect of how can I make this foundation even more stable? How can I pass something along for her? But it's amazing to be a father now. I'm in off season. Yesterday, I was able to get my baby girl ears pierced. That was a tremendous experience, and was able to do things like that during this free time. It's a blessing.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, so I don't have a daughter, I have a son, but I've heard they open up a softer spot, and especially as an athlete, we're built on mental toughness. We're always training. We're always around a lot of grit and stuff like that. So I'm sure coming home to something like that, soft is real nice.
Yeah, and I come home to pieces is an amazing thing, for sure.
Then from your childhood, what do you take from that? Because I dove into your life story and stuff like that, and not everything was perfect.
Yeah.
What did you take from that you want to pass on to your daughter so she doesn't have to kind of?
I'll say I always make sure that she is familiarized with my upbringing and my roots through nonprofit work, through just being in the city. But I feel like that's major. You can shelter your kid from some things, but some things they shouldn't be sheltered from.
Mm-hmm.
But truly on my aspect is just, I had a loving family, and I want to just provide that stability to her. I went through times where things were stable, and things went to not stable, to eviction on the door, you feel me? So for me, it's just stability, stability. And that's all through the foundation of the man, for real. If you really look at it in that perspective, the greatest perspective, so keeping God first and then everything else to flow under that.
So your father was in the NFL also.
Mm-hmm.
And I had seen that his own, like they always say for athletes, even in MMA and stuff like that, fast money comes, fast money goes.
Yeah.
Right. And what lessons did you take from that? You saw the ups, you saw the downs, you saw the struggle of it.
Yeah, on my father aspect, he really didn't have a good infrastructure around him to provide him with the literacy or the educational knowledge that was needed. You know, he was the man in the house pretty young, so he always had the state of mind of how can I make this make sense right now, so once that state of mind evolves, it can evolve to how can I take care of my people, which is handicapping there,
Gotcha.
So we went through those things, and he made decisions that he should have made, as a man, and he learned from them. He's where he should be at now for sure.
And do you guys have those conversations? Like, do you guys go back and reflect on those moments? And
Yeah, for sure. We definitely be reflecting on different times and bring up different things that could bring laughter and memories back.
and then I'm guessing he's a guiding light in your career at this point.
For sure. Yeah, it's somebody I could call upon and get an answer from. So
Yeah.
I always make sure that I stay tapped in with him.
So being on the mental toughness of sides, is there anything you kind of do to prep that? Because I saw some of your workouts. You do a lot of the mobility stuff. And is there like a mental side? Like for myself as a professional fighter, I work with mental coaches. We do the visualizations. We go through everything, like, to prep ourselves for that moment, for that Saturday night, for that walk and stuff like that. Is there a mental edge kind of healthness that you work on?
Yeah, visualization could be key, but the prep throughout the week is where the peace comes. And for your aspect of prep up to the fights, where the peace comes. And I definitely would take from your book that you said the preparation for your walk. I feel like for players, we used to go into the tunnel, running out the tunnel, or X, Y, and Z. But I feel like if you visualize those things in the national anthem and the kickoff and all those things, that can have you even more stable before that ball is kicked or when that play comes. So definitely would take that based off what you were saying, preparation for the walk. I never thought of that, so yeah, that's about it though.
What's it feel like walking out to Allegiant Stadium?
Yeah, it's I seen a stat, we the #1 stadium.
Yeah,
in
it is, man. It's the #1 stadium, bro.
In the big league, but I'll say it's an amazing feeling, being from the West Coast, from Pasadena, California.
Right.
It being Los Angeles Raiders to Oakland to Las Vegas. It's the black and silver. It's something that you can stand on and lean upon, and they have your back. We had their back as well. So it was an amazing feeling to walk out to that stadium and see those fans and see the family and all those things.
Yeah, I'm always in the crowd, so I'm always there, man. I don't miss a Raiders game. I'm out there. I ride with you guys all the way through.
What was the last game you put up to?
What was the last game you guys had? It wasn't the
Chiefs?
Yeah.
You was in the building?
Yeah.
Came from Vancouver, man, to see us beat the Chiefs. Man.
Yeah, I know. I was there for the Christmas game too, a couple years ago.
Okay.
When though we kind of rode with the fact that we beat the Chiefs. It's the year the Chiefs won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That December date. So
yeah, I was at the Chiefs. Were you at the Chiefs?
Yeah. It's awesome, man. No, I definitely like the energy that the Raiders carry through and through. It's definitely a unique fan base. I've traveled to other games, like, been to Seattle Seahawks and the Raiders, and I'm like, I thought I was going to be one of the only people with the Raider jacket on. Yeah. And the fan base clearly, I feel like there was more Raider fans in Seattle.
Yeah, now there's definitely a legacy that the black and silver carries, and be able to represent that shield or represent the NFL shield, it's a blessing.
Right. So with the success that you've had now, what's it mean to you? Like it's got to go deeper than, it's not just about you at this point, right? Like, especially watching your father come up, and what are things that you're doing to basically keep that success going for yourself? Like, financially, legacy wise.
I'll say just the whole journey just allowed me to speak upon when you just deliberate in your preparation, you deliberate in who you aiming to be, you deliberate in having unwavering faith and not allowing things to move you. You could get to a point where you far from where you started up, and I always look back at myself, and I would never imagine me being here right now with you, in the position I am at, and I just knew that I wanted to be there. I always felt like, I always told my family that God always placed within me a fear of not being who I can be.
Right.
You know, so I always wake up with that drive of there's more to attain, but I'm not allowing that drive to drive me crazy, you know, because that's a thing that could drive people crazy. Like, what's next, this, that. But it's like when you become peaceful with what you do have, and we all desire more, but when you become peaceful with what you do have, you know, you're gonna continue to reap the harvest. But it's like you gotta garden it. You know, you gotta take care of your soil, and that's just really what it is.
So that's kind of where you're at. You're content with because like entrepreneurs, athletes, so I can only speak from a fighting background, is like you get that high on Saturday night, Sunday morning comes, everyone's blowing up your phone, everyone's like congratulating. On Monday morning, the high comes off, and Monday you're chasing it again.
Yeah, no, for sure. I feel like within the league, the biggest thing you gotta understand is how can I get myself not to ride the emotional roller coaster of success, of failure, of mistakes. And it comes with just, we always say the 24-hour rule, 48-hour rule of celebrating what has came and forgetting what has passed. You know, it's never as good as it seems, it's never as bad as it seems. It's like certain mantras that keep us level-headed. And the biggest thing is just, in the NFL, it's the chase to each and every year, each and every game is who's getting better each game. You know, it's chase of perfecting the craft each game, you know. So once you continue to understand, like, all right, it's a race to get better each week.
Right.
You get to a point of like, all right, how can I get better? You know, because it's easy to be satisfied with a performance you have had. And in order for you to have a performance, you have preparation leading up to that.
Right.
So if you still sitting on that performance you have had the next week, you probably gonna take your foot off the gas because you're still celebrating. But it's like, nah, it's time to excel even more, you know, execute even better, you know, fine tune the things that was.
Is that within the team that you guys have that, or is that right?
As a player,
As a
player, you know, because at the end of the day, they looking to replace you just within the league. They looking to replace you, you know. So and then I had that drive as a player.
You carry that at the back of your head, that you're like,
I mean, that's with any job though. You know, they always looking for the next thing. You know, so you can't allow that to hinder you. It's like it's just some things in life are facts. That's a fact. You know, so that's just how you gotta operate.
Got it. So then, how do you make that balance with, like, you know, like if you are down, how do you keep that balance within your family life then at home where it doesn't carry over?
Yeah.
Because obviously with sports, there's highs, lows.
For sure. Like
you fought injuries and you fought through all that.
Yeah.
And
having a foundation at home that's understanding, you know, that's caring, that's nurturing.
Right.
You know, and at the end of the day, sometimes you gotta be that for your significant other.
Right.
That uplifting, that nurturing, you know. So it's like understanding where everybody's at, you know, and that's being aware. You know, you gotta be aware of yourself, you gotta be aware of what's going on. And also, like, once that garage closed, my daughter don't know what happened at work. My dog don't know what happened at work. My lady don't. They just excited to see that I'm home after a work day, you know? So I'm understanding that definitely the foundation, your people could pick up the cues of you giving off different signals like, okay, he needs space, X, Y, and Z. So as I said before, awareness.
How important do you think it is to have that kind of foundation at home, right? Because obviously there's players that don't have that. And like, you know, there isn't really weight of a family to provide for,
Really?
living freely. Do you think it's more of a detriment and it's better to have a foundation? Like for myself, when I tore my ACL, I had to get a full ACL reconstruction. And like you were saying, it was a foundation of what I had at home that kind of kept me together. I had my wife and I had my family and kind of like piecing me back together because I was going off the deep end mentally.
No, most definitely. I feel like everybody got something that's beyond them or higher than them, such as the man above, the higher source, God, or whoever you believe in. And then you got a set of people, human beings, that's your rock, you know? So I feel like everybody has their rock and their foundation. So it's like those people got to be understanding of what you're going through and being there for you. You know, because I can't speak on a certain aspect of not having enough people being there for me because the way my family has been, the way we've been just tight knit, you know, we're able to pick each other up, but you got to lean upon God as well. You know, he's the one that's always there no matter what.
So you do have a strong conviction in God and carry
most
the guiding light and stuff. Have you always had that?
I feel like it's something that grew spiritually. You know, you go through things and you experience things and you know for a fact like that wasn't I wasn't human. Like that was beyond, you know.
Right.
And just through protection, just through, you know, provision that he has given myself, you know. So I'm for sure well aware of that.
Yeah. No, that's something like I feel like that is almost the edge right there, right? It's like kind of putting it upon the man above and kind of just trusting the process, just kind of going through it. Like for myself, like when I'm walking out for a fight, it's all you can really do. It's like, you know, you're walking out to the field.
Yeah.
It's like all in that hand. So during preparation then, is that part of your mental training too? Like having that conviction, having that guiding light with you always?
Yeah. I always tell myself faith in him, trusting him, surrendering him,
Right.
and those things that just get me grounded.
Right.
And even a connection to breathing gives you a connection to, you know, the spiritual source. So it's like different things that you can utilize, but something that I definitely lean upon.
Right. Because there was a moment where I read that you moved your mom into UCLA and you slept on.
Yeah, it was I actually moved her to her own place, and I was sleeping
On the pilots.
in the UCLA locker room. Yeah, in our locker room. We had a new locker room, man. I still believe we got the best facility in college football.
Yeah.
LA is where it's at. We're in Westwood, top tier program, top tier building, top tier, you know, team in the making. But yeah, I was in there, you know, sleeping. There was times where it was around like, say like 1, 2, janitors coming up in there, lights turn on, they cleaning. But
So you're really like sleeping on pallets, like you're.
now we had couches, you know, locker room, we had couches, all that. So I'm sleeping on the couch with my pillow, blanket. And my state of mind, I was in my workplace, so there was no room for air. Waking up early, you feel me?
Yeah.
Go to the weight room, do what I gotta do, you feel me? Cold taps, all that.
Yeah.
Go to workout, boom, go to school, did everything that was needed, you know? So looking back at it, that probably wasn't healthy, but in my opinion, it was healthy because I could do everything that's needed to perform weekly, you know? So,
Because you were in your workplace always. So
yeah, it just made sense, you know? And I feel like when you become a man, you do things that make sense and that could, you know, help propel your foundation.
did it make sense to you at that time?
Yeah, you look at my stat line for that year,
Right.
you know, it made sense.
Because of my story on that, when I decided I was going to go full tilt into MMA, I basically moved into a gym too. I basically slept behind the desk of this gym in a really bad area where I would see people shooting up outside. They would have to put like jail bars so people wouldn't break in.
Yeah.
But that discipline I created during that time, I would just wake up, put my air mattress away. I'm in the gym. I lift 3 times a day. I go for a run, eat chicken breast and rice. That's all I eat. And I think that's where I was able to catch up all the years where I was never part of a sport, because I started when I was 24. And I was meant to become an accountant. And to catch up in there, it was just knowing that I was living in that workplace and just having that. So yeah, because like, I'm sure you tell people your story, I tell people, and they're like, that's kind of crazy. Like, you know, like you to be doing that. But for us, it was like, that's just what was needed.
Yeah, just a commitment to the plan, man. That's what it was. Yeah. That's both.
Right. So coming up, growing up, with your father, like what were some of the like the highs and lows that crossed there?
I feel like if you are familiar with the home family, you know that we always had great gatherings at our house. You know, family always coming by, jumpers outside, X, Y, and Z. We always had definitely within the recreational side, we had the sports, you know, baseball and football.
Right.
You know, so it was always good to certain things. We had new jerseys every other week. You know, we had team cliques, you know, so it was things that created that foundation that was healthy. And there was times where, you know, you get a call on Valentine's Day, next day, your pops was shot 7 times.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what that was.
Like, what was that like? Like,
it was just
and how old were you during that time?
I think I was in that 10 to 12.
And
10 to 12 spectrum. Yeah.
But did it even really make sense to you?
It made sense of I'm not I'm not sure if I want to see my father when we go to the hospital room, you know? So it was just awareness of thoughts, you know, awareness of surroundings now,
Right.
awareness of things are about to change, you know? So definitely it's a thing that we look back on and thank God for his hand, you know, because as we talked about earlier, certain things that happen that man couldn't do himself. Like him surviving that, he couldn't do that himself.
Right.
You feel me? So yeah,
So your guys' strength as a family got stronger during a moment like that.
for sure. For sure.
So, so do you think struggle gives advantages to people in time?
Yeah, I feel like struggle creates production, but in order to get that production, it's gonna be painful. You know, so struggle is painful, but it's gonna allow you to produce in the long run. It's much needed. It's much needed. Yeah. And it's like you don't know what type of pain you're gonna go through, what type of struggle you're gonna go through, you know, because that's beyond yourself. But it's like those things are needed, and it's hard to rejoice in hard times, but you know, the rejoice gonna come though for sure.
Yeah, it's that like that's something me and my wife talk about quite a bit because I'm like, you got to be in a non-comfort zone to grow. And just like you attract too much struggle. Like, you know, things can be easy. I'm like, there's no growth in that. There's no growth. You don't become a different beast. You don't come out a better version of yourself.
Yeah.
I'm like, obviously you don't want to just attract negativity all the time.
Yeah.
But there is a place where you need that resistance. You need that resistance to tap into a different chapter of your life.
Mm-hmm.
And do you kind of constantly search for that?
You always search for places you're lacking. You got to.
Are lacking in like the area of
like
athletes or like, you know,
just as a
father or
who you are within is gonna be expressed on that field. You know, so wherever your programming is outside that field, that's gonna be expressed on Sundays. You feel me? So you're always looking in areas of how can I improve? How can I improve my mental side? How can I improve my physical side? How can I improve my family side, my spiritual side? You're always looking for those areas to improve in. Because if you don't, you become complacent, become stagnant. And as I said earlier, you can get kicked out the door.
do you see that happening? Like, do you see that happening around you sometimes?
Yeah, that's life. You witness that for sure. You just pay attention. You witness people leaving themselves out.
Is it usually like because the money's come and now it's kind of like
I really can't even speak upon it because I haven't been in that, you know,
mindset?
that state of mind. Or I hate speaking upon different spectrums that I have truly experienced because it's not. I feel like it's biased for me to speak upon those things.
Exactly.
You know, so yeah.
Right. Fair enough, man. You've spoken openly about like, you know, your personal growth, your emotional growth. Let's talk on that. There's something that we're seeing kind of in MMA, and I don't know if we're seeing it in football. The fighters are talking about certain struggles they have mentally because both of our sport, it's become a big topic, CTE, brain trauma, all that stuff. That really wasn't a big thing at like, you know, for me in the early years, like when I came up, MMA was illegal from where I was doing it. So we would have to almost do it secretly. But then also we didn't know how to spar. We didn't know how to train because you'd show up every Saturday to spar and you would just try to bang. And you're just hitting each other in the head. And you thought if you got dropped, you improved. Because you're like, dude, I went to war today and your nose is bloody. And you're like, I went to war. You do that for 2-3 years. By the time you make it to a real fight where you actually make a dolly, there's barely anything left of you. And now you see this older generation of fighters that came up, the UFC guys, you can see they're just decreasing. Like you can see it. And I made like a goal to myself. First of all, my style had to completely change the way that I fought. I'm very in and out and stuff. But do you see that in the NFL? Do you see guys that kind of degrading almost?
I feel like the NFL is big on analytics and science.
Right.
So we have so many different partners that provides the things that's needed within our building to allow us to be our best selves.
Right.
You know, so it's definitely a thing. You know, having a rider who been in the NFL, you know, times he could forget things and, you know, we could blame it on CTE or we could blame it on, you know, just getting older, who knows what the case may be until you get diagnosed. But it's definitely a thing.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely when people talk about it, football and MMA are always the bigger, and boxing obviously, and it's just one of those things where it's like the intelligence is picking up now, and like like people are getting much smarter and stuff like that. I just wasn't sure if like in the NFL the helmet designs changed or something changed.
Yeah, for sure. Helmet designs are changing. What you wearing during training camp, you have shields on your helmet if your helmet is not at that top tier design. So they definitely doing things that's
That's awesome, man. What did the hardships that you went to teach you about gratitude, resilience, just was life in general, man? Right?
yeah.
Like we kind of touched on it just right now, anyways. But there's definitely something that, like you were saying, you're kind of at peace with it all. Do you think that peace comes from because you saw where you came from of what it was?
Yeah, I always tell myself be joyful with the journey, and allow yourself to feel every feeling within that present time. Uh, at the end of the day, we always ask God to deliver from things, but I feel like the true deliverance come when you're able to be aware of a feeling and not be attached to it.
Right.
I feel like that's what God wants us to be at. He came into the human body to experience what we experience and overcome that. So if you're able to overcome those feelings, and still be aware of them, I feel like that's where the resilience, the toughness, and
Right.
the shaping of yourself.
Yeah, 100%. It's in in that way, yeah, there's definitely a lot of growth. There's definitely a lot of growth within all these things and like that. Is that something where your family kind of pressed it, like always kind of hold on to it? Because I'm like in my family, I don't know if gratitude was something that was ever really a topic. I think it's just because my parents were first generation immigrants, and it was just like you just work, you made your life and stuff like that. And these things like gratitude, resilience, I don't even think those words really.
Yeah, nah, those words wasn't like showcased, it was just expressed.
Never expressed.
For sure, hustler ambition, that's still something that goes on to this day.
Right.
But we always was tight netted. It was times where I was staying with moms, and mom was staying with her homegirl, and they had Christmas presents, and mom said we'll get Christmas presents in a couple of days, and we was just like, Mom, we happy to be here with you. So it's like those things were expressed, those things were felt. So just being grateful for what you do have, and not being concerned with what you don't.
100%. So what inner battles would you say shaped who you are? Is there is there like I was talking about this the other day. There was a point where I started kind of climbing the rankings really quick, and I started getting into rooms that I never thought I could get into. The people that I was watching on TV, I'm sitting with them.
Yeah.
I'm like, you got Conor McGregor's and everything like that.
Move for sure.
And then I struggle with imposter syndrome big time with that. I was like, dude, the guy like me from a small town who's supposed to be on counter, I'm not supposed to be here. Have you ever had that? Like, just always were able to step into who and what you are and just
with the NFL, you got to step away from the battles of keeping up with the Joneses, as people would say.
Right.
Because you see boys pulling up in all type of different, foreign and exotic cars, and it is either motivates you or it makes you do things to keep up with them, And I've always been on the side of motivation, and always been on the side of I'm gonna work myself into these rooms. Like, there's times where I feel like as athletes, we always say, until this, until that, I'm gonna go into introduce myself to somebody, or until I get a ring, or until I'm the top 100 player, or until I'm top 5 in my position, then I'm gonna go out and express who I'm truly am, or connect with people. It's like, be that now, and those things will come, and even if it don't come, you still need to be proud of where you got to. You're part of the 1% for real. So I always had that state of mind.
Yeah, you just touched on that right now, like the financial literacy side. Like how important do you think that is amongst players? Because we hear it all the time. Like luckily in MMA there isn't a lot of money to begin with, so a lot of these fighters are just barely scraping by, trying to make each other. But NFL, you can go like your bank account can drastically change real quick.
It's always been something big for me because my pops was in the league and he went bankrupt. So that's something that I was well aware of, and
Do you think if you hadn't seen that, you would have had that intelligence about?
uh, yeah, I feel like I would have been aware of it because I feel like whatever you experience coming up, those are things that's like ingrained in you. So if I was a part of a generational wealth family, I would have been introduced to general wealth ways on how to maneuver.
You're right, right.
You know,
Got it.
so I was a part of a family that had it. I mean, we became impoverished, and then we're able to live the way we live now. But I've been able to see both sides. So by having both experiences, it gives me a great perspective on how to maneuver and how to
Right.
connect with different people that can keep me in a stable
Were you understanding
way.
it while it was happening? Like, did you understand what was happening?
Uh, I feel like I was aware of what was going on. I wasn't like truly like seasoned up to know like what's really taking place, but my awareness was for sure on point.
So how old were you when?
I feel like until I was like 11, things were great. We was able to get Jordans every time a new release was coming out, and then 12 to
No more Jordan.
what into college, things were different, and that's just what it was for real.
Right. And I'm sure you told yourself that you were never gonna end up in that situation. How'd you?
Yeah, I always had the perspective of
Because you were saying struggle, like struggle. You have to go to struggle. Got to go to the pain to become.
yeah.
That's definitely a type.
Mhm.
Like financial pain is financial pain. It is much different than physical pain.
Yeah, no, I feel like everybody do things or find different avenues so they could take care of their people, take care of their family, take care of their foundation. And I was aware that football could be that walkway for me, so I dialed into that plan.
Got it. So what are you doing different? Like, do you invest? Do you
Yeah,
other things? Do you?
I definitely invest. I definitely make sure I maintain a efficient budget. Uh, do things that you're passionate about. I feel like you always hear invest, but it's like do what you got to do in order to live a lifestyle that's comfortable for you and your people. So awareness of that is major, and just staying true to yourself throughout the whole journey is another major thing as well.
Yeah, that's definitely even with the fighters that. So during COVID time, I made that a big priority. Started like a Discord, was working with a bunch of fighters and stuff, and we started learning the stock market in and out like it was like the whole world is shut down. So I'm like, I gotta do something with my time. I'm used to training up to 3 times a day, recovering for hours and stuff, and now my whole slate has got cleaned out. So everybody's like, okay, now you can spend time with your family. I'm like, I have a feeling this is gonna be the moment where people are gonna separate themselves. Like people are all locked away in their homes. Like people are gonna learn new things, new skills, and that was one of the skills. And I just wanted to pass it off onto like all the fighters and be like, listen, guys, you can't live fight to fight because I see so many of my teammates live that way still.
Yeah.
It's a great thing. You by the time you pay your managers, your fees, your everything, you're left with like nothing unless you're like in the main event spots of the UFC or something, right?
Exactly.
But all the guys underneath, they're barely scraping by. And I feel like with athletes, it's definitely a really important thing to pass on. Like there's a lot of football players in Vancouver that I talked to about all this, and they they have definitely made it a priority also. So it's good that you're doing that. And so yeah, you were saying, so do you have a fancy car?
When I came out, I definitely was able to buy a car that's nice and neat
Right.
through my business. It's another way you should operate is through your LLC.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, I'm able to do a couple things for sure.
That's dope, man. That's dope. So so what do you think the future holds for Darnay?
I've always been a person that God take care of the results. I'm gonna take care of the results. I know leading up to the future, me staying out into my plans and my routine and my structure and my foundation, it's gonna allow the future to be what God designed it to be with the ups and downs that's gonna come with it. But you know, enjoying fatherhood.
Yeah.
I'm able to play the game I love. I'm enjoying that. Continue to just dive deeper into that.
Right.
I was able to go to the playoffs in 2023, I believe. That's something I've been chasing ever since. Like, if you ask NFL players, like, have you been to the playoffs? It's going to be a slim amount of hands that goes up. It's like everybody's thinking about the checks you get, but it's like the love for the game. You want to be, I don't want to be on this couch talking to you right now.
Right.
I want to go be playing right now. It's a blessing for them boys to be out there playing right now, but, they executed. They had a good structure, good foundation, and it's being shown on Sundays, leading up to the Super Bowl coming up. So, the future will be bright if I just continue to lean upon God, man. And that's something that I'm shaping myself to continue to really do.
Do you make it a point to pass these things on to your daughter, like teach her as it goes?
For sure. I always tell people, man, your offspring is a reflection of you, so once you come to realization of that, you're gonna start maneuvering differently.
And do you feel like that changed, like you did start maneuvering very different?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. That's definitely something. Like me and my son's 15 months, and I noticed my whole chemistry in my mind changed. It was just like, I feel like as a fighter, I was much more reckless when you're in your 20s and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, I'm like, I had to be much more calculated. Everything, even time management.
Yeah.
Right? Because I want to just get home to him. I want to go to him. Before, it was just like, everything's about me. I need to focus on my craft, and the craft is what it is. And now it's like, how fully can I get home?
Yeah.
So, we'll end on this. I always ask, what is the legacy that you want to leave behind? If today was the final day, what would you want them, your family, your daughter, the league, the Raiders, what would you want to be remembered as?
An individual that was thorough, an individual that was God-centered, an individual that was inspiring, that was giving back, when I was able to leave my peoples with tools and resources in order to keep the legacy.
Right. Oh, that's awesome, man. That's absolutely beautiful. I read a lot of your story on the last couple of days. I'm like, it's really cool when you get to dive into the life out underneath the helmet.
Yeah.
Right. Because at the end of the day, we're all human. We're all chasing something, right? We're all chasing something. And especially me being a diehard Raider, it's been an absolute honor, bro.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming through, man. Thank you so much for
having me,
and just making this possible.
Yes, sir. Safe travels back to the
Thank you, brother.
6, man.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.